Welcome to Courageous Conviction. Remember that Jeff and I record each Saturday 5 episodes. So please hit the like button, subscribe so you catch all 5 episodes. We usually start out with one theme or topic. We have to go down a lot of rabbit holes to really understand it. Some things are more sensitive than others right now, what's going on in the world. So hit the like button, subscribe, and let's jump into this video.
Good morning, Courageous Conviction. Welcome to our wonderful podcast. We are starting to get some traction here, Eric and I, and we're excited to be able to have a growing audience. And thanks for your comments. We do try to answer and get back to those comments as much as possible. Keep them coming, and keep clicking on the like button if you haven't already. And let us know your thoughts, because that's how we get these things going with good dialogue, and we want to know what's on your mind, because really what's on your mind matters to us, and it's on our minds. You know, having this kind of conversation is important. What do you think there, Eric?
Yeah, and we can get back to talk about some of the comments in the comment section too another time. Today, though, Jeff, I think we should talk about a little bit. I think with what's going on with immigration, you know, there's this idea. I'm just going to give you an example. 4th of July last year, we're at the Latin branch in our stake, being there because of, you know, my wife and other people, that friends and so forth that are Latinos. And so we go, and we're invited to go to the 4th of July event. Well, not far from where this chapel sits, there's a lake. And this lake is a park, and this is where they do the fireworks every year. The city does, right? So there's a big fireworks show. So everybody kind of comes and gathers around that area and all the lawn space that's available. And traditionally, in front of this chapel, there's a lot of lawn space, and so people would just, you know, general public would just pull up and sit on that lawn space. When we were younger, it was kind of a battle. We had to go out and claim our own lawn space because they would just come up on there, and the church didn't want to, like, you know, throw anybody off, right? So what the church did is the church actually, they kind of blocked off the church parking lot. And so we all got the church parking lot, and then they let all the public just hang out on the lawn space in front. So we gave them the best spot, right? There's in church parking lot, you don't get to sit down in the grass. You got to bring chairs, you bring around asphalt, you got the cars, you know, in between you. The kids are playing, cars are coming and going, because some people are leaving, you know, after the fireworks or during the fireworks. Maybe a lot of people, but you always got somebody that's coming and going. Somebody's elderly, doesn't want to stay for the whole hour show or whatever, it gets cold. And then we had this Mexican lady, and I don't say that derogatory, just that's what she is. And she's been here for, wow, you know, since I joined the church when I was 13, she was already a member of the church, right? She was already here. Her husband now, ironically, worked for immigration. And she was very conservative. So was he. He passed about 5 years ago. And this is what her mentality is now. We're standing there. We're all enjoying ourselves. And there's a few spots left. I guess you want to park a car. We got the parking lot open. The kids are running around and having fun. But the lawn area and that whole area got full. And so they were trying to move the cones to come in and park in the parking lot where the kids were. And some of the Bishop Erick would go out and explain to them, hi guys, you guys are more welcome over there, but this section over here is reserved for, you know, the members. And this woman had a problem with that. And she went around and started stirring up the people, and by saying, hey, we're Christians. We should allow these people to come in here and join us as well. And why should we be greedy and keep this part for ourselves when other people don't have any other room, and we've got more space here and we can fit them in? The member of the bishopric looked at her. He was speechless. He just looked at her like, what are you saying? And he looked at her and he said, we have kids running around here. This was her response. Well, then the parents can just get their kids and bring them in closer, and they can sit with their parents and not be running around, and we can control the kids. And that way we can open the door for the public, and they can come in and they can share this with us. Well, it was an issue. It kind of ruined the night because it became an issue with her. And a few other people started jumping on the bandwagon. Now, these were the Latins jumping the bandwagon. It's funny because the whites were the ones that were saying, hey, we already gave them their space. We're not going to give this space away because it's going to endanger our children. We don't know who these people are. They could kidnap our kids too. We don't know that. We need to have a secure area for us. And she felt that was wrong because we had more than what we actually needed. Now, it wasn't that much more. It was a cushion. It was a safety zone, right? And it was a running around area for the kids. Now, let that lead us into, the ideas behind what's being pitched through the media, that we just have to give everything away. And the bleeding heart about the immigration coming in, right? Now, I'm not going to say that all those people are bad people coming across the border. I'm sure there's some good people there too. As I was explaining to you off air, two of these people that I know specifically were students of mine when I was a seminary instructor. And they come from good families, but they're families that when we sat, I lived with their families. I mean, we literally lived with their families. They're native, right? Native of Ecuador. And we lived with them for 3 or 4 years. And when I say we live with them, we live in the same compound as them. We had to share certain facilities with them. So I know these people very well. Now here's the catch to this. Good people, the members of the church. But what's ingrained into them is that they do not feel that the church supports gun rights. They do not feel that self-defense is necessary because if you're faithful, the Lord will do it for you. They do not feel that being completely self-sufficient is really an obligation. It's just more of a strong suggestion. And I recall we had a major earthquake down there, and it killed people. It devastated. It was the last major earthquake we had in Ecuador. And I recall us with our bug out bags and my family and my baby girl and carrying the jugs of water too, as we came out our upstairs and down, and we went out to our location point, our point of meeting, our meeting point. We had a safety area where no poles were, et cetera, and where we were with our stuff, the only ones. And all around us, it was kind of like being in watching the largest spacious building. All around us was these families and their 2-story homes in this little compound, and we're the only ones out there, and everybody else is on the second floor at the window looking at us, pointing at us, and actually opening the windows and mocking us, right? Why are we out there in the cold? How stupid. It'll pass. It's just an earthquake. And now, come on, Jeff, we lived in Costa Rica, man. We had earthquakes every day in Costa Rica. I'm used to getting tremors, but this was no tremor, but this thing was going to take this house. Yeah, and the construction there is poor, right? So I'm getting my family out of there, and we got all of our stuff. We got a little bug out bag. We got a little, makeshift tents and everything in our bug out bag. It was ready to go. I got made so much fun of by them. When they finally, the earthquake was over, they all came out and started harassing us. And here was the idea. Here's their mentality, what they said. I said, well, you all need to have your own food preparation. She said, no, brother. She said, if you're a true brother, if something would have happened, then what you have there, you'd have been obligated to share with us. And so we're fine. And that's the attitude. They feel that we are obligated to give to them. So when you're going to vote a very socialist party line with these Latinos, even though they're good people, with the majority of them. Now, there are some exceptions that get it. But let me just tell you, my stake president called me up a month ago. He's 8 years now been a stake president. And we fought to try to get this socialist codependent ideology out of the stake and push them more towards being prepared. And ironically, this was all done right before that earthquake. I was released from that assignment right before the earthquake. And my stake president came to me and he said, we should have put more emphasis on that. I should have given more backing to that because the members did nothing. And all they did was call their bishops up wanting help. COVID hits, same thing. And the whole time we tried, for a good couple of years, we made a real strong effort to try to get them to be prepared. And at the end of the day, what it came down to, he tells me a month ago, he said, Erick, I gave up. I gave up in trying to teach them the truth of these commandments because they just do not want to see it. I can't get the culture out of their mindsets. Their pride will not let me teach them anything different. And they feel this way. Now that's what's coming. And he started telling me all the people in his stake that have come across the border and taken advantage of this opportunity, the door being open, right? Now, are they bad people? No. Some are recently returned missionaries. but their mindset is very blue. It's not in line with the Constitution. When the Elder Oaks gave that speech on the U.S. Constitution we talked about before, a lot of backlash came, especially from this family I'm talking about. And this family is a family of the first bishops, the stake presidents, et cetera, and still today. And they are a family, for example, Papito, they call him. He's the oldest one. His wife just passed away last year, but he's the dad of all of them. He was the first bishop in the whole Otavalo area, so with the natives. He was like the first bishop amongst the natives. And they developed 2 or 3 wards when he was bishop. And so his son was a stake president. One of his sons was a stake president while I lived with them. Well, he wasn't paying tithing, right? So his current stake president, though his bishop, which was his grandson, approved him for a temp recommend, the stake president didn't. So what did he do? He called up his son as stake president and had him sign his temp recommend. This is the kind of mentality we have. Okay. Now, are these good people? If you went down there and hung out with them, boy, I tell you, I see a bunch of American tourists would pop into our ward often. And sometimes they come stay for a couple of weeks down there, right? And they just love this family and loved him and loved our bishop. And now they would just say he was so much like a bishop. He's such great people. Yep. But here, they're going to vote against gun rights. They're going to vote against having food storage because that's hoarding to them, right? Even though they're members of the church. So what I'm trying to say is the cultural difference is so divided that there's no way we can unite over this and have a real platform to be able to talk from. And this is one of the reasons why, and I'll give this time back to you to put in here now, why I wanted to go down myself. Now, as we're talking off air, and I'll conclude here and give time to you, and then we're going to kind of go into a little bit of, breaking down. There's a book by Cleon Skousen, The Cleanse of America. Really good book. It's a short book, not very long, it's only a couple hundred pages. But what I like about Skousen is he gives all the references, right? People sometimes don't like him because he's hardline, and he came up during that Benson era, if you would. But, he, David A. Widtsoe, which is still known today as one of the greatest church historians, one really who understood the gospel, who tutored Skousen when Skousen was 17 and in England on his mission. He was the mission president. He took him in because of questions that Skousen had and research Skousen was willing to do to answer his questions. And it was actually through Widtsoe that Skousen produced, I believe it was his first book, The First 2,000 Years, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken. And that was something that he actually encouraged Skousen to write. Now, a lot of Skousen's books were written because they were encouraged by apostles or prophets during his lifetime to write these books, including the Naked Communist, right? People don't realize that because the church can't write certain books because they, as church leaders, they cannot get involved in certain aspects of the politic of things going on in the world. So they'll have other members do that. That's why Naked Communist was not put in as a BYU curriculum as it was written to be, because when David O. McKay died, then it was felt that it would be too divisive, right? And so as Skousen was asked to publish it for the world, that the church wouldn't publish it because that would just limit it to church members, right? But if Skousen published it to the world, then other people would read it too. Now it's starting to surface again. I'm seeing this book come back up that was written back in the 60s, I believe it was originally, right? And that's something we can talk about another time too. But so here, I'll give time back to you now. I kind of want to go into this idea then of the cultural differences and being of one mind. What is the law of consecration? That's where I'd like to go today. So we as members can understand how we need to receive this and receive these immigrants. Now, in Zion society, it's going to be a pure immigrant entry society, right? But there are standards and qualifications for that. And that is of one mind. We cannot be a divided people. So it has to be a benchmark in which we work from. Jeff, your comments on so far.
I thank you for being with us on Courageous Conviction. Remember, there's 5 episodes each week that we put out. We have to go down a lot of rabbit holes, so stay with us. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and don't miss tomorrow's episode on Courageous Conviction.